Hi everyone, this is Micaiah Costa with the Athlete section. Today we have a special guest who plays softball for the University of Georgia, and I'll let her introduce herself.
Hi, my name is Precious Bras. I'm a freshman here at the University of Georgia, playing, like you said, playing softball. I'm a utility player, and I'm from South Carolina.
Yes, so like she mentioned, she's a utility player. She came in already averaging 450 batting average, and she already mentioned where she's from. So let's get into it. So, first, I usually start everyone off with their beginning of softball and your journey throughout. But I kind of want to talk about moving from South Carolina to Georgia. How was that? How was life in Columbia, South Carolina? And then how was that transition going into Georgia?
Okay, well, I'm fortunate. So we have 7 freshmen here, and I'm honestly the closest to home. Like, I'm only about 2 hours 45 away. So it's honestly not that different than Georgia, which is why, like, part of the reason why I chose it here. Like, it feels very homey, very similar to, like, where I'm from. I feel like the transition has been good in that sense. And, like, the weather is similar. Like, it just really feels like I'm just at school playing softball, like just in a different
Yeah.
environment, but kind of the same feel as home. But I do feel bad because some of my other teammates, like they're super far from home. Like my roommate, she's from
Oh,
Hawaii, so she has like
long
a whole
ways.
different
Yeah.
atmosphere. But yeah, so I've been fortunate that I feel like it's pretty similar.
I did notice that, or I figured that South Carolina would be pretty similar as far as like weather and like the environment. So that's really neat. That's good. It's not too far away. So how did it come about? Like, did you play other sports, or I know you have an older brother. Did he play, and how did it all come about as far as like your family dynamic, and then you playing softball and traveling through your journey to Georgia?
Well, my whole life, I've just always loved sports. I played soccer my entire life. I did gymnastics for a long time, and then my brother was also very into sports. He did like basketball, football, soccer, all the things. So I just grew up very athletic, I'd say. But I didn't start playing softball until 4th grade when honestly, me and my friends, we would play at recess. Like, we would just play softball because they played softball, and like we would like kind of do like a makeshift softball game all the time at like recess, and like they would teach me how to
Okay.
pitch and all this. And so then I was like, one day I was just like, I should just try it. Like, I should just play because I was like diehard soccer lover, like soccer girl. That was my thing. But then like one day I was like, I should try softball. Like, my friends have a lot of fun with it. Like, I just want to try it. And then I tried, and it kind of just stuck. Like, I liked it, and it was really fun. And I don't know, I felt like there were just so many different aspects of the game, like, to get better at. Like, there's hitting, there's defense. Like, at the time I wanted to pitch too. So, I mean, there was just so much for me to learn. And I loved that part of it. I loved getting to learn new things. And yeah, I just kind of stuck with it.
I Softball is a very special sport. When I was at Georgia, me and my friends would love to go to the games and watch Georgia play. They're really good. So it's very amazing. Yeah, and it's very much of an
Oh,
accomplishment to play for Georgia softball. So I'm excited to see how you guys do this season.
thank you.
Aiden Fields was there. I'm forgetting some other names. There are some other names. Yeah, I can't. My mind just blank.
I know. Well, our whole team dynamic actually has changed a lot because a lot of the names that a lot of
Yeah.
people know, like Jaden Fields, like she graduated last year, and our team last year was very senior heavy. Like, a lot of the girls on the field were seniors: Jaden
Yeah.
Kearney, Sarah Mosley, Jaden Fields. Like, a lot of those players that, like, people know and
Mhm.
love because they've played there so long. They're all graduated last year, so our team is
Yeah.
a very new dynamic. Like, there's half of us almost who are freshmen, and there's like a transfer, and then we have like a bunch of girls who are younger too that like maybe didn't play as much in like the past years because we had such like a senior heavy team. So it's a very like different dynamic, but we're all super excited. Like, the team energy is amazing, and like the culture, we love it. We're all just excited to be out there and get after it. So
I agree. And I think it's really nice though that you guys have your own new like set of people coming in because now y'all get to kind of build up your own legacy and people are now being able to enjoy watching you guys out
yeah.
on the field and then y'all moving on and the other people will come. So it's kind of like a whole legacy, a whole cycle full of great players who are about to transfer in and transfer, just go through the whole.
Yes. And like all of the older girls on our team are like people that played in the past years. Like, they're all so helpful to all the freshmen. Like, we feel like we've been here
Wow.
way longer than we've already been, honestly, because they just help us out so much, and they're there in all the ways, like as a friend, a teammate, like role models, like they just help us
Wow.
through everything. So it's been a very good dynamic.
What is one of the key things that you've learned from one of the older girls that kind of stuck with you now?
I would say probably the biggest thing is I've always played infield mostly. And so I've been playing a lot more of outfield since being here. Dallas and Shorty, or Jaden Goodwin and Dallas Goodnight, they're both Dallas is a senior and Shorty is a junior, and they have played outfield like since being here. So they've been able to help me and my teammate just like just learn the little things about the outfield, like just little like tips and tricks and stuff that obviously if you haven't played there you wouldn't really think of. So just having them as leaders and role models with like
Yeah.
transitioning to a new position has been amazing,
That's amazing.
honestly.
That's really nice to have because it's like a mentorship in a way to have someone who can kind of teach you the ins and outs of the field you're playing on, especially coming in. And I like how you described it
Yeah.
that it feels like you've been here for a while now, that you're kind of like already well rehearsed and like in the environment. Like, oh yeah, I've been there, done that. Like I can literally go teach someone else what's going on. Like it's fine. That's a great feeling for sure.
Yeah.
Your personality seems very like as soon as you got on here, before you even started the recording, you seem very like bubbly and nice and happy. And it also you're welcome. And like your
Cute.
smile is literally I'm literally smiling the whole time. You're on here. Like your smile and your laugh is literally contagious. What and it also translates to how you are on the field. Cause like watching some of your highlights or like seeing how you are in other interviews, like you're always smiling and seem like you have such a positive, uplifting spirit. How are you able to keep that? Well, first of all, how does that feel going through like life and
Oh
sports
no.
with that attitude? Because not everybody has, that outlook and attitude. But then also, how do you keep it up on the field when things don't go your way or when people aren't like that? How are you able to like maintain that and keep it and spread it throughout your team?
Yeah, well, honestly, like my faith is a big part of my life. Like just relying on the word and like getting into the word, that's just what helps me like keep my mind set on the right things. And honestly, I just have to remind myself like what a blessing it is to just do anything that we do on a daily basis, honestly. And even our coach, he reminds us of that a lot. Like just the fact that we're even on this team and like able to play, like just physically able. There's so many people that wish they could just walk. They wish they could like be in your shoes literally. Like they wish they could just walk and do normal human things. So sometimes I feel like we get really caught up in like the downsides and the negatives and things that like maybe not going right at that moment. But I mean, honestly, sometimes you just gotta wrap your mind around it. Like it's just a blessing to even have this as a problem. But there's other people that have way not even you don't want to like downplay your issues, but like there are other people that are going through so much more than you could even imagine at that moment in your life. So sometimes I just try and like keep that mentality. It's just like honestly I don't know. The way I think of like my interactions with people is just like you taking the time to just do something like even the smallest little thing just nice. I don't know. It just changes people's lives. Like you never realize, or like one little bad thing. Like you might say something to someone, and you don't realize how it's gonna
Exactly.
stick with them for the rest of their life. And the same thing with like saying something positive. You don't know how that's gonna stick with someone for the rest of their life. So I just try and like keep that in mind because it really is just the little things, and I never want to be that person to like do the little thing that changes someone's
Right.
life for not for the better.
That's so true. I like
Yes.
you touched on a lot of really great points. I guess first and foremost when you mentioned how it's kind of like making sure you're not comfortable like with the blessings that you have as far as like thinking, oh well, this is just life. This is just, what I'm doing, but realizing the actual blessing in it, like God it literally placed you on this earth and placed you in this position for you to enjoy it, but then also spread that joy to someone else. Like just don't take it for granted. I think a lot of times, like as Christians and as just like people on this earth, we look at the situations we're in and like feel like it was supposed to be given to us, and we don't realize how much of a blessing it was until it's taken away. So I think that's very much a good point to kind of keep in mind, along with the impact that our words and our attitudes have on people around us. Because like it could be something as simple as like a compliment. Like I could be having a bad day. If someone compliments me, I'm like, well, I guess today wasn't that bad.
Right. Seriously, like it's always the days like you feel like, oh, I look so bad, and then someone's like, you look
Like,
so
you're
pretty
the
today, and
same
you're like,
person.
what? Like I woke up thinking I look
Literally.
terrible. Right, but it really does change your day, and like it changes your whole mood, and you just don't realize the effect that can have
Exactly.
on somebody.
How do you keep that in mind? Is there like something that you say to yourself, or like a pep talk you have, or just like prayer that you kind of say to like make sure those things kind of stay in your mind throughout your days? And yeah, just how does that come about for you?
Well, like I said, I feel like the biggest thing is I try and like keep the word like
Mm,
at the forefront of my mind. Like that's the thing if I'm gonna do anything, I feel like I have to make time for that because I read something and it's so good. Like I will never forget reading this. It's basically like what you're filling yourself up with is what's gonna come out when things go wrong. Like it's easy to be like positive and all the things when everything's going right, but what's gonna happen when someone sets you
mm,
off like the wrong way. So I feel like thinking about that in my mind just like reminds me that okay, I need to be prepared for those times that aren't gonna go well, so I don't react. Because I like no one feels good after they react poorly. Like you always are like, oh, I feel so bad about that. Like no one likes that feeling. So I try to combat that by like keeping the right things in my mind, like my mindset on like what God tells me and like what He says for I don't know, like what he calls me to do as a child of God, like how am I supposed to serve the Lord like in my everyday life? And I feel like if I can keep that at the forefront, then honestly your life just ends up better anyway. Like I feel like the Bible honestly just gives you like a manual of like if you do this, what's gonna happen? And even another thing I heard one day in church was like if okay, if say I put a fork in a toaster and I'm like or God's like he's like, no, don't put that fork in the toaster, like it's gonna end up badly, whatever. But I'm like, nah, I'm still gonna put the fork in the toaster and then obviously, bad things
right,
happen when you do something like that. So but like God's not the one that's like hurting me in that situation. Like he's not punishing me for that. He just already was preparing me for the consequence that
right,
was gonna happen from my actions. So I don't know. I just try and think of it like he kind of tells us the way to live and like the way to impact others. Like our purpose on earth is to serve him and serve others and like just live his word and on a daily basis and like bring other people to that. So really it's just how can I better do that every single
yeah.
day?
Like you said, it's easy to be happy and excited, and people to see the light in you when things are going your way, but that's not life. Things are gonna happen, and so
Yeah.
especially like as a Christian, you have to learn how to like display Christianity to them, even if you're not telling them about it. It's like, well, if they see me going through this right now, are my actions gonna speak like for my faith? Like, is it gonna show Christ like through my faith? So even if no one's watching, like, is this something as God is watching? Is this something that He will feel proud to see? Like me just like giving up and throwing up my hands. Um, so
Seriously.
I really agree
Yes.
with that, and I'm also a Christian and really heavily have been trying to make sure that's also part of my life, just making sure I'm in the word. But I feel like for me, I need to kind of like make sure I'm not just reading the word, but also like really studying it, like really like honing in. Like if I don't understand, I'll be
Yeah.
like, all right, next chapter. No, like actually like look in and you know what yeah, because it's like
Seriously,
there's a
yes.
lesson in everything, all the verses, all the stories in there, parables, all of those like have meaning. There's always like something to learn from that. So it's like, what can I learn today that can better me for today and tomorrow? And then what can I learn tomorrow that can better me as the days go on? So I feel like that's something I want to make sure I'm a little bit more privy to. Um, as I like continue this post
Yeah.
grad journey. And also, yeah, just hearing you and other athletes kind of talk about it has definitely made me a lot more um focused on making sure I like stay in my word like on a daily basis, not taking a break, not like, well, I mean, I prayed, I talked to God today, but no, like actually like learn some, actually like spend time with him and you can see better results, in yourself when that
Yeah.
happens.
No, I 100% agree, like, fully. Yeah, we can all do better with it, like, there's even days I'm like,
Yeah.
I really just wanna go to sleep, I'm so tired, but I try and I'm like, "Okay, at least just try and get at least, like, 5 minutes," like, even if you can discipline yourself just to get a little bit of time in, just to make that time, because he
Yeah.
really does do so much for us, so I try my best to, like, "Alright, this is
Exactly.
the least I can do," you know? Like, I'm tired right now, but he's the one
Exactly.
waking me up in the morning, so I have to just try and remind myself, but it can be hard. It really can be hard. So I
Yeah.
understand
Agreed.
completely.
So, what I guess was a moment in your life that made you become more prevalent in your faith and kind of like grow that and trust God throughout your journey in life? Was there like a specific moment or just growing up? Like what happened with that?
I mean, honestly, I think it's just been like an ongoing journey, and I feel like the more I've grown up and like gotten into God's presence, and I've been fortunate to like have parents that I've been able to like see what God does like through my family and like my parents, and that's just being able to see that grow up with that like in my vision every single day. It helps me a lot. But I feel like just as I grew up myself and like got more into God's presence and see and just like I've seen for myself like how it's changed my life and like how I feel on a daily basis. I just feel like I don't know, it's the one thing I always go back to and I'm like, dang, like I feel so much better literally every
Yeah.
single time, you know? So I feel like I guess just like growing up and like maturing and changing my perspective around that and like not making it like, oh, I'm just going to church on
Mhm.
Sunday because I'm going to church. Like it's something I need to do or have to
Yeah.
do. Like school. Like school sometimes feels like that. But like actually understanding like how it can change my life and like what my creator wants of me. And I just feel like as I've matured and like just tried to actually learn more about my faith, like that just helps me a lot. And just like seeing how he just transformed other people's lives around me too and like some of my family, like just like miracles that I've seen happen. Like there's just some things that happen that it's like you can't I don't know. I feel like I can't not believe that there's God. And it's just I don't know, he just does so much.
That's literally so true because it's like people say, oh, it could be a coincidence. Like we don't believe in coincidences. Like we know that there's certain things like there's no way God didn't set this up. Like, and it feels so
Yes.
special and amazing to know that this was God's ordained plan in my life. Like I'm living in God's plan right now. Like I just had to stay the course. Listen to His voice and stay the course. But it's nice when you have that feeling like, okay, God is giving me the good job. You're doing well. Keep it up. So yeah, like I
Yes.
like that. And then like you said, also like witnessing different things with family things that can help as well. Kind of cultivate your faith a little bit more. And then once you start, especially when you're on your own in college, you start kind of growing on your own, now seeing like your own journey with faith and how that works and how it gets tested and how you
Yeah.
can rely on him in many all situations. So that's really great. Now transitioning back to softball. um I saw that you guys have a new training facility and I was like, "Whoa, that is clean." Like, that is so and everybody I saw you on there and all your teammates, y'all looked so excited, and I'm glad they captured y'all's reaction and just the view of everything, like, it looks so nice. Like, what are your thoughts on it? And just, like, what was your emotions, like, just looking at it for the first time?
Honestly, like they really did capture our reactions. Like we were going crazy. Like it was unreal. I mean, obviously we saw pictures of what it was supposed to look like and things before, but like walking in there and just being like, wow, like this is for our team to like help us get better, like reach the goals that we have for ourselves and our team. It's just insane. Like they outdid themselves. Like we all talk about it all the time. Like we are so blessed. It's just insane. Like everything we need is right there, and it helps a lot too because we are off campus, so it makes our lives like a lot easier. Like the weight
Yeah.
room being there and things like that. Because we used to have to use the weight room on campus, and then like our field was off campus. So just like the little things, it makes everything so like convenient with a training room, and
Wow.
it's been amazing. It's
I'm
Wow.
so happy for you guys. I was like, dang, this makes me want to go back and play softball now. Like, it's so nice. Like, I'm like, that is, yeah, like you said, it's such a blessing. Yeah, wow. Like, I really want to play softball now. Just looking at that makes me want to play softball.
Oh my god.
But yeah, I started softball late. I started and ended softball late the same year. I played when I
Oh
was
my
like
god.
16, and so that was a little old.
Oh, but that's still nice that you got to play
I was
position that you
third
play.
base, and then they put me in second base, and I was like, okay, I don't.
Those are very different
Exactly,
angles on the field.
exactly. I thought this was just to stay here and catch the ball. What is this?
Right?
And then they put me on like left outfield, and I'm like, so why are y'all moving me backwards? Like I thought I was.
I know, and the
Yeah,
outfield is like way farther too. Whereas like third base is like the hot corner,
exactly.
so you're ready.
It's not a demotion, but I was like, y'all have me right here in the center of it all, like catching the ball. And I was making some outs, and then they moved me in the back. I'm like, is this because I can't hit? Like, what's going on? Because I couldn't hit.
No, I
It,
understand that though. Seriously, I know. Like, and being in the infield
yeah,
is just like constantly moving too. You're always doing something. Like you have to be thinking
exactly.
about the next move. Like for real, for real. I mean, outfield you do too, but it's just
Yeah,
like it's a lot calmer. You're not necessarily involved in every single play. You're like
exactly.
backing up and things like that. So it's very different.
I didn't hit one ball. Like I had some fouls, but I didn't hit. I wasn't good at hitting. But I will say one thing about outfield is that like you have to always be ready. Like you never know when it's.
Yeah, seriously. Because that is the thing. Like with outfield,
Yeah,
you have to have really good reads. Like your first step is everything. Like if it's a ball behind you and your first step was in, that's like ah. Or if it's like the opposite, your first momentum it makes a really big
that is
difference
so
in the
true.
outfield.
That
So
is so true. But yeah, like you said, I'm really glad that I really just wanted to play just to say I had a chance to play.
yeah, no, I understand. Hey, you have to do things like sometimes I regret like even in high school I wish I would have played volleyball or something like just for a season just because like
Yeah,
I can't go
I
back and do
know.
that now. So
I
things
love
like
watching
that.
baseball. Like my brothers play baseball. I was like, okay, so that made me want to play softball. But then also I was like, do I want to play this late? But I was like, well, let me just to say I did it. At least I can say I played softball. Um, and then volleyball was my sport. I love volleyball so much. But yeah, no, softball was definitely a special sport. And I love every time I watch it, I try to convince my parents to get my little sister to play, and she's not interested right now, but she doesn't know what she's interested in. So
All right, yeah, yeah. Let it
exactly,
cook. Just let it
exactly.
cook.
So, but yeah, no, softball is really amazing. What are your like game day rituals you have, I guess, before every game? What is something that you do to kind of get you pumped up and ready? And yeah, just ready.
Well, okay, obviously to calm my mind, I pray and I love worship music. Like there's just certain songs that like get me like in that mode and just remind me like God is with me. That's the reason why I'm playing all of that. But when it comes to like Georgia game day, we have a really like you saw in the probably saw in the video, we have a really nice like mirror makeup room and we can play the music on the speakers in the locker room in general. And so we all love to get ready in there and like just listen to the music and we're all together. So that's really fun. Um but yeah, I would say that
That sounds
it just
fun. What are your top, or how many, do you have like a top three worship song playlist you like to have where you start?
oh gosh. Yes, everyone they'll ask me for my worship playlist. I'm always like, oh, which ones? Because I have so many.
Oh,
I
I'm
literally
gonna have
have
to have
like
you
four,
send
I
that to
think,
me. I'm gonna have
but
you
they're all like different vibes.
after
I
this.
will.
After
I
this.
will actually send them. But I have like four different vibes. Like there's one that's kind of just like normal worship music. Then I've got one that's like kind of upbeat worship music and like some
Okay.
Christian rap in there. There's just like the like more upbeat vibe. Then I've got one that's like more calm vibe. That's almost like can just be in the background when
Yeah.
I'm driving in the car. So it's kind of like a car playlist. And then I have one that's like more like gospel
Yes.
music,
Yes.
like more soulful. So like I have
Yes.
all the vibes.
I love
I
that.
have all the vibes. So
Yeah.
it just depends on the mood I'm in.
That's
But yeah.
better than me because I have all of those in one playlist.
Yeah, I did too for the longest time, and I was like, oh, I gotta like separate these because it just started getting too long too. Like my playlist, the
I
one,
really do need to separate. I have all of my playlists, like my genres. And so my praise and worship playlist, like I said, I have all like that, like Christian rap, worship, like gospel, like
yeah,
more like slow worship. And it's like I'm always, if I'm not in the mood for certain ones, I always skip through it and never like pray. And I'm like,
yeah,
why
you're
don't I
just
just like,
skipping, yeah,
so I can know what vibe I'm feeling? I could just separate it in categories. Like, I just don't know why I don't do it.
right, yeah.
Are you a Spotify or Apple Music girly?
Apple Music. I do use Spotify sometimes, but I don't know. I've
Okay.
always used Apple Music. It just seems easier because
Yeah.
it's just like on iPhone, I guess. I don't know, but I do have Spotify too.
That's fair. I can get with Apple. I mean, this podcast is on Apple Music, and I just never I put it in there, but I don't go on Apple anyway. But yeah, I'm definitely interested in seeing your playlist and just like adding songs. Like I love hearing everybody's like music choice and just kind of like getting into it. I'm very like diverse with all kinds of variety type of music.
Me too. I love all types of music. Like literally any type of music,
Yes,
I will find something that I
same.
like in that
My
genre.
friends put me on to country music last semester.
Right? Like there's actually like I don't know. I feel like there's
Yes.
always something like I don't know. That's just kind of like in life too. There's a good in everything, and I feel like with music too. Like people be like, I hate country or I hate rap, but like I feel like
Yeah,
there's songs in each type of genre you can
exactly.
really like. Seriously, I don't know. That's just my opinion, but I love some country sometimes. Love
R&B.
R&B. I love
Yes.
rap sometimes. Like
So it's I feel
you
like
know
it's nicer to have a
everything.
diverse like palette like that because in any function when you're playing different types of music, you can vibe to any like type. You can be like, okay, oh yeah, I heard this song, or okay,
Yeah.
this I kind of like this. So yeah, I agree. Like you said, like I feel like some genre has, or any genre has something that you'll like. Like you just have to like really listen. So
Yeah, like even like the
yes,
beachy vibe, like the
yes,
island music,
exactly,
Spanish music, like
exactly.
anything. I'm ready.
What shows? I know we talked a little bit about Outer Banks. I put that in there as my talk. Like, we had to talk about it. Before we started recording, I was asking Precious about her day, and she was telling me that they kind of like was chilling today as a nice off day, and that you started like watching Outer Banks, like the last season that just came out. I haven't watched the last season that just came out, but I love Outer Banks, and I can't wait to start watching it. Without giving any spoilers away, what are your ups and downs, and what is your take on it all?
Let me tell you, it had me
Oh my
stressing out. Like my roommate, I think she heard me say I'm so stressed, like probably at least like 5 times. Like the whole time I was watching. And sometimes when I watch shows, especially by myself, if I'm with other people, I don't. But by myself, like sometimes when there's a moment that's stressful and I know something bad's gonna happen, I just pause it. I'm like, okay, I gotta pause it for a second.
yeah,
I gotta like reboot. Like I do that all the time, and I don't know why. But I seriously like any part that stresses me out, I was like, pause, and I just got on my phone for a sec. I was like, wow, I
oh my
can't believe
gosh,
what's happening right
yes,
now. I'd get a second, and then I'd play it, and I'd be like, okay, I'm
yes,
prepared for the moment now. But there was just so much of that. Like, you have no idea. Every time they would seem to figure something out, then some other
say
situation would
something.
happen. Down to the last minute, girl. Like, there was so much going on. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna cry. I'm gonna punch
I
someone.
hate
Like, what is
that. I
happening?
like it, but I hate that. I like suspense. I like
Right?
getting on the
Like,
edge of my seat, but like I was stressing out about these shows. I'm like, oh my goodness, like who wrote the script?
yes. I'm taking it
Exactly.
personally. Like, it's
Exactly.
happening to
I
me for
like you.
real.
I also, especially when I'm by myself, I pause it and I start having my own commentaries. Like, so why would you like? I literally like,
Yes. You get
especially
me.
well, if I watch by myself and I have someone watching it as well, like a friend or so, I'll send them like a voice memo about all my thoughts. Like, I'll have to like bullet point it, like, and another thing. Why did they do this?
Yes, me too. Like I'm over here. My friend, she told me she's like, the other night she finished watching it, so she texted me. She's like, "You gotta like, have you watched the new ones?" I was like, "No." She's like, "You have to watch it. I have to talk to somebody about this." I was like, "Okay, I'll watch." And then now I'm sitting here texting her like every little thing. I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe this just happened. Can you believe this just happened?" Like, oh my
I
gosh.
love that though. It's so like it just keeps us so entertained. That's when it's a good show. It has to be a really good show to grab my attention.
It has
What
to
are
be a good
some
show.
What are some other shows that
Yes.
kind of grab your attention in that way?
Ooh. Okay. Obviously, I really like that show. Before I just finished watching The Lincoln Lawyer, which is on Netflix. I
To
don't
the
know if you've seen
list.
that, but it's like basic. Yeah, he's like a lawyer and he solves these like insane murder cases and all that. So that's another thing that
Yeah.
keeps you just kind of like on the edge of your seat thing. I always loved The Vampire Diaries. Like
I
that
think
was my show. Love that. I love All American. I love
which one do
All
you like
American
better?
Homecoming. That's just well, no. Okay. That's really hard because at first
Sa-
I would always say All American, but now I just feel like now it's getting
Yeah.
like a little bit longer and more run on. So I don't know. I love All American Homecoming though. I think now because I really like Simone and Lando.
No.
I think it's just because I love their
I
relationship
feel like
so much.
I'm always the
It's
odd
so
one out
cute.
in this debate because
You like her with Damon.
well, it's not that I don't like him.
Oh my
I
god.
just don't like them together. I don't know what it is. I just like David better.
Okay, but have you
No,
watched
I
like the
haven't.
latest season though? See,
Well,
that's what gets you. See, I was kind of like the same as you because I was like, oh, but then like her and Damon, they're so cute, whatever. But once you watch,
okay.
like, you gotta finish it. You gotta finish it, and then we'll talk about it again because I'm telling you, it's
Really?
Simone and Lando. Seriously, like they're so cute. So yeah, I don't know. I might just be like more biased on it right now because I just
Okay.
watched it, so it's a little fresh. But I think I might like, I don't know, I think I just like Homecoming right now because of that. But overall,
Okay.
probably All
I
American.
usually said All American too because it was like, well, of course it came out before Homecoming, so I'm just like, oh, this is all the plot lines are so good. Right, it's
Yeah,
like
like
this
it's the
OG.
original.
But then
Yeah.
as it kept going on, I'm like, all right.
It's kind of more the thing, like the
Yes.
plot
Like
is
I don't
starting to
even know
run
if I'm
out
gonna
a little
watch
bit.
the past new season because I feel like, well, I did see some spoilers. I'm like, oh well, there's that. But I also feel like I don't know. I feel like they bring all these problems on themselves. I'm like, is it really a problem? Or y'all just really just trying to find some drama to get into at
Yeah.
this point?
Exactly. Exactly. No. And that's how I felt with Grey's Anatomy
Gotcha.
too. I loved that show. But once it started getting to like
Mm.
more recent times and they had like COVID and all that in the show, I was like, yeah, this is just
All
running
right,
on. It's over. Like everyone's dead. Everyone that I liked is
killed
dead.
everybody
Like
off.
I don't want to. Right?
I
I was
feel
like, no,
that.
I
I
can't
feel that. Oh
anymore.
my gosh, we. I wasn't even planning on like getting into the like shows and stuff, but I'm glad we did because that made a great conversation. We are getting close to time. That's okay. Like that every time that happens. Well, that's happened on almost every episode, but it's like it's great because it means like everything's flowing greatly, and I like talking to everyone. So
Yeah, no, you're so good at it. Like just keeping the
cute.
conversation
Thank.
flowing.
I enjoy it.
Yes.
I'm a professional yapper, I guess they call it. I love talking.
Yes.
Yes,
I
same,
love a good
same.
yap session.
But I do. Before I get to my last question, I'm gonna see if I can tie these two questions in one. Um,
Okay.
after your senior night, how tell me about your senior night for high school and how it felt playing after that and your last game in general before going to college. But also, how I think I saw on a TikTok that you had that you was giving back to the sport that's giving you so much. How are you doing that? Like how are you giving back to the sport and why do you think it's so important to do that? And sorry, I know there's two separate questions, but yeah.
Those are both good questions. Okay, so to start, well, senior night felt surreal, honestly, because I have played at my or in South Carolina. You can play varsity as a seventh grader, so I did. I played for my coach from
Wow.
like seventh to 12th grade, on varsity. So I think that made senior night even more surreal because you have to think like I've watched like 4 or 5 senior nights before my own. So I'm like, this is crazy. I can't
Yeah.
believe this is all for me now. Like,
Right.
wow. So that definitely felt just insane. And just, I mean, I love Irmo with everything in me. Like, that school is everything to me. I love all the people there. My coach is amazing. Principals, the teachers, counselors, like everybody there, trainers. I just couldn't have asked for a better environment to grow up in and like prepare me for what I'm in right now. So I would say it was definitely like super bittersweet because obviously Georgia's an amazing program with a bunch of amazing people as well. So it's like I'm super excited for what's next, but it's sad like leaving what I've grown up with and like what got me here. So yeah, that was definitely bittersweet, and just like the younger girls on the team, I made such good relationships with them. So not being able to play with them anymore is like that's so sad. But yeah, it was like I said, bittersweet there. And then yeah, giving back to the sport. I did like a little coaching thing. I think before my senior year, with softball youth, and that was one of the best
Wow.
experiences ever. Like I got to, it was basically like this little all American kind of like all American games tournament thing, and I had like a team of I'm pretty sure they were like 10 or 8 in that range, and it was so much fun. Like all the girls, just meeting them and their families and being able to coach them and like see just how much they love the sport at such a young age. I
Yeah.
was like, this is adorable. Like that was just amazing, and being able to teach them some things. But that kind of just goes back to like why we're even on earth, in my opinion. Like giving back to the sport. Like I just feel like that is why I play. Like I have to play to just like I want to give back. Like I want people to be able to look up to me and like continue to grow and love the game, continue to grow in their faith. Like I just want to be that role model for people because I know how role models have impacted me in my life and like the athlete I am and the person I am. So I just want to be that for other people because I don't know. I just feel like it just fills me up at the same time. Like I'm able to help pour into other people and that pours it back into me. Like it makes me feel good. So yeah, I guess I just feel like that's just important. I mean, I'm in the position to impact so many people. So
I feel like the advice that you give out and just your personality shows without you even saying anything. And I feel like girls will definitely look up to that and be like, wow, that's somebody I want to embody after. That's somebody I want to kind of look up to and kind of like just be like as I grew up. Yeah,
thank
no, like
you.
seriously, like I can see that. So I know you're doing a great job with that. You're
That's so
welcome.
sweet. Thank you.
So last question I usually ask um for every athlete to give like one piece of advice like that they feel like will help someone else going through their shoes as well. But I guess my other question, because I really wanted to get to this one and I forgot I put that as a topic. This can kind of tie in. Um, I guess with your advice, what was a moment during the game or playing the game that kind of challenged you to kind of embark on the advice that you're about to give?
Okay, I would say my freshman year of high school was just it was like a hard softball year for me, and that was the year that I was like, like I had to really dig deep and figure out like who I wanted to be, not only as like a person, but like as a player, and kind of like my why, like get back to like why I love softball, like why I play the sport. So I would say my biggest piece of advice is it's easy like kind of what we were talking about earlier, like the good days it's easy to be happy and like excited about everything going. It's the same thing in softball. Like it's really easy to be excited and happy whenever all the things are going well for you and like want to keep playing and all that. But I would say my biggest piece of advice is if you could quit like on your best day, like the day that you just like hit a walk off home run or like made the diving plays, went 4 for 4, like all the things. Like if you could quit on that day, then that's when you don't want to do it anymore. Then that's like
Mhm.
when your love is run out. Like it's just not your thing anymore. But like don't just quit on like the day that's just really hard and like it feels like it's not getting back to you or you're putting all this work in and it's like you don't see it. Like I would say that's my biggest piece of advice. If you could just quit on your best day, then like that's when you should walk away and you're done. You should go to like the next part of your life. But
Wow, that's a
yeah.
that's a really good perspective to have, a really good way of thinking about it. I like that. I really like that. I don't think anybody has ever like put, well, for me, I've never heard anybody put it that way. So I like that piece of advice.
Thank you. No, like seriously, I think I have to remind myself of that a lot sometimes because there's some days it's like really hard and you're like going through a lot and you're like, oh, I don't see like the
Yeah.
fruits of my labor really. Like, where is it all going? But just no one wants to quit on the day
Right.
that like they're the hero and they hit like the game-winning hits and like all these things, But that's with any sport or like anything in life,
Yeah.
really, not just sports. Like whatever you're pouring into, sometimes it's hard to like you're giving so much time and you're not seeing any of it like come through, and you're like, oh, like what am I doing all this for? But I would say
Yeah,
that's
that, like you said, even outside of sports, like I loved writing and I still do, but I feel like writing was such a big part of me. But as of late, I've kind of figured out like maybe I don't like it as much as I used to. Like I like what I'm doing now, like talking to athletes, like broadcast, and just kind of like telling the story. And
yeah.
I'm still, learning and still trying to go through it. But it's like kind of like you said, I have to like think about, if I like write a really great story that gets so much recognition, or I get paid really well for it, or I just have fun interviewing that, will I still want to quit on that day where all that happens? Or, so it's like something to kind of
Right.
evaluate, to kind of like weigh that out. So I like that. I do have to think about that actually. Yeah, I
No,
appreciate that a
seriously,
lot.
yeah.
Well, that was our last question. So I guess that was the truth. That was the last question. Let's get the book together. Where can the people find you on social media?
Oh, my Instagram is precious.bras. My Twitter or X, I guess, is precious.bras. And my TikTok is
Nice.
also
Much
bras.
Precious. I really enjoyed this conversation.
Thank you for
Yeah,
having me. I did
thank
as well.
you.